Welcome to the Franklin County Varsity Sports Report, the only show that provides you with the best insight and information to everything Franklin County sports. And now here's your host, Bobby C.
Hello and welcome to the Franklin County Varsity Sports Report. I'm Bobby C. I want to welcome you here today. We're sitting outside here again outside the GCTV studios. And yes, we got a lot to talk about. Of course, you know, it's been a really different summer for a lot of folks as we're only sitting here with maybe 3 or 4 teams that are been active throughout the summer being able to play sports. The big question that people have been wondering is, will there be fall sports here in Franklin County? Well, if you look at the numbers show that why not? But of course, the governor makes that decision for the whole state. The big question is people are wondering around here, will they be able to make it happen if the numbers are down? And how can we fight it to prove our point that Franklin County has the lowest number of COVID-19 in all of the state? That's right, just shy of maybe 415 total cases, which is a very low number compared to the other parts of Massachusetts. Want to say a big thank you to Lisa Albert of Albert Hearing Services, 33 Waddell Street in Greenfield. Also by Denny's Pantry. They're located right there on Berniston Road in Greenfield, serving up their breakfast and lunch 7 days a week. And you can also stop by the 4 Leaf Clover Restaurant. They're located right there on Routes 5 and 10 in Berniston, and they're serving up all the goodies during the day as well. So make sure you stop by, and remember, you're supporting your local business owners. Why don't we get our show kicked off here for you today? Want to let folks know that the Greenfield teams had a chance to open up the Western Mass Summer Baseball Playoffs, and I do have some details here. The abbreviated summer campaign is now sliding into the next phase. And that next phase, of course, is playoffs. And the Greenfield Seniors, they ended up having a very good regular season. Matter of fact, they did so well that they ended up with the number 2 seed going into the playoffs. And the one thing that's been the big key to why they've done so well is their pitching. Pitching has been very solid for them right through the whole summer. The junior division team, a little bit of more struggles, but they have a good team. The problem is a lot of mental mistakes ended up really costing them a few games to put them in the spot where they're in, and they are the number 7 seed in the tournament. We do have the games that went on, and we can run down everything for you. I will say that it's really too bad because this junior division team, if you really look at these kids, they really do have a lot of talent. Another team that's really been able to stand out and do really well too has been the Warriors of Mohawk and Mickey Mantle. They have had a very successful summer so far too. Well, I can tell you that this past Monday, they had a chance to pick up a nice 10-3 win over the over the Northampton team that they were taking on up in Buckland. With that win, Sean Davenport continued his strong summer pitching as he ended up going 6 1/3 innings. He only allowed 5 hits and 3 runs, and he was able to pick up the win for the Warriors. Guys who were able to get it done at the plate were Davenport himself, where he ended up with 3 hits and 3 RBIs. Also, Roscoe Palmer, him and Ruben Bassett each had 2 hits apiece. Tyler Dubriel, Cullen Brown, they had 2 hits. Liam O'Donnell and Casey Christie each had a hit. And it was a nice win for the Warriors as they picked up that victory over Northampton. Well, the Frontier Mickey Mantle team, they ended up getting beaten a tough one. They ended up losing to Brattleboro. The Albert Hearing Frontier team was really right in it for most of the game, but they let it slip away in the last inning with the 8-6 loss. Kyle Barnes, Tyler Baranowski had a couple hits apiece for Frontier as they fell into a first-place tie with the Warriors of Mohawk. And they were both, as of last Monday, sitting at 9-3 on the season. It was really a tough loss for this Frontier team because this team from Brattleboro is only 2-9. So getting beat in a very important game where you could have been securely in first place, it ended up costing you that first place tie. So now the situation is that with that loss to Brattleboro, Mohawk and Frontier in Mantle are both at the top at 9-3. Dylan Martin, Max Edwards, they each drove in a run for the visitors in this one. Garrick Brinda ended up with a single. Brinda was the starting pitcher, and Jake Dodge came on, and he ended up taking the loss. Edwards ended up closing out the game, but it wasn't enough as Brattleboro picked up the victory. Well, there's been a lot of talk about how there's ways to be able to get around being able to have some kind of activities for the game of volleyball. And I want to let you know that the Pioneer Valley Juniors Volleyball Club has been able to fall under the umbrella where they're able to play. And they've been able to do it outside. What they've done is they set up some outdoor courts that are literally really cool. And they're in Agawam. And they also had a chance to set up and do the same thing over at Frontier Regional. The girls team, which is run by Sean McDonald, a wonderful coach who is able to bring so much magic in what he does, and the girls that he's able to coach over at Frontier, he's been able to get a group of them to be able to play throughout the summer and get involved in this league that is literally down in Agawam. But they're calling it a club, okay? So really it's considered a club. But I just want to let you know that the cool thing about it is that the way they were able to set this up with safety is the way that they've been able to continue to play. I want to run down how it was set up on how these girls are able to do this, because I thought it was really interesting. What they did is they brought two teams down, which is Hawks A and Hawks B. Now the squads are literally going up against a lot of the big schools like Amherst and Agawam and Long Meadow, Westfield, Wilbraham, East Long Meadow. All the big cities down in the Springfield area are taking on these two teams from Frontier. Now what they've done, instead of 6 per team, the squads have 4 members on the court to be able to have it so you set up for social distancing, which I think is really fantastic. So if you really think about it, the girls are still being able to play some summer volleyball, but instead of having it set up where they have 6 people on the court, they're able to do it with 4. Social distancing is working, and it's been very successful throughout the summer. So there are ways that they can make this work. It makes you start to wonder, could they come to a conclusion over the next year or two that they go 7-7 on football instead of having the 11 out there? You cut 4 members off of each team and take 8 players off of the field to make it more easier for social distancing. And also, even though the tackling can be rough, the one thing I say about the tackling is that there's not going to be as many people jumping on the top of a player when you only have 7 on each team. There's only 14 total players on this big football field. And maybe what you do is, instead of going 100 yards, maybe you only go 80. Maybe you end up making the 10-yard line as where you can get a touchdown. Now, I can tell you that in the state of Vermont, they are doing that this fall. That's right. High school football is having 7-on-7 in the state of Vermont. And what an opportunity it is for the kids to be able to play because of the way this is set up. So it should be interesting on what the MIAA might have to do to make adjustments so these kids will be able to hopefully get back on the playing field. Well, the Greenfield Juniors, they literally had an opportunity to be able to get their tournament run going. And I will tell you that the visiting team, after a strong start, went very cold in the middle innings and ended up losing 6-3 to Wilbraham in the opening round of the double elimination Juniors Summer Baseball League. Unfortunately, last Wednesday, they ended up getting beat. And if you talk to their head coach, Tom Brusciano, he'll tell you The mental errors have got us in trouble all season long. And that's exactly what happened in this one. Greenfield stormed out to a 2-0 lead. Wilbraham settled in, struck out 7 of the next 9 outs, and there you have it. They end up getting beaten this one 6-3. Caden Letamaki, he ended up going 3 1/3 innings on the mound for Greenfield, striking out 2, while also allowing 4 hits, 3 runs, and 2 walks. David Carey came in for 2 2/3 innings, where he ended up with 3 strikeouts, 4 walks, 3 hits, and let up 3 runs. And there you have it. That's where you got your 6-3 final. Offense was led by 4 hits by David Carey. He had a double, 2 runs scored. MJ Pollen ended up registering a hit, a run, and an RBI. Jake Whitney with a hit and an RBI. And Alex Kaczynski ended up with a hit in the loss for Greenfield. Well, I wanted to bring this up because this kid is a really good runner out of Pioneer Valley Regional. He had a chance to get involved in the Northfield Summer Road Race that happened, and he's been able to do this on his own. They do it virtually, so you take your time, you run, and then you post it on exactly what is your time for the running that you did. And then what they do is they take all of those that ran and they put it together and see how you did against other folks. Well, Noah DeRuiter ended up running the 3.3 course in 21 minutes, 20 seconds, and he ended up capturing the Week 10 Virtual Northfield Summer Road Race Series. And congratulations goes out to him. It's a nice job by this guy who is a wonderful student and a wonderful runner at Pioneer Valley Regional. So just wanted to throw out a nice job done by Noah being able to pick up that victory in Week 10 of their running series. Well, the seniors had a chance to be able to play their playoff game. That's right, the Greenfield Seniors, the number 2 seed in their tournament that ended up going on this past week. Greenfield took the 2-0 lead with a pair of runs in the 4th. And I can tell you right now, they ended up picking up a nice win over West Springfield. Turned out to be a very good game. And not only did Greenfield pick up the win, but it got them to stay in the winner's bracket of the tournament. The number 2 seed ended up having some good pitching by Matt Gardner. He ended up reaching his pitch count, unfortunately, with 2 outs in the 7th inning. That's where Owen Phelps had to come on, and he was able to shut down Westside as Greenfield picked up that victory. I can tell you, though, that Dylan Apanel has been really hot on hitting the ball really well for this team. He ended up with a solid day with 2 hits. Also, Brian Bauman, David Carey, also Connor Wakus, and Jacob Quinn ended up with a hit in the victory for Greenfield. Well, it turned out to be a really good game in the Mickey Mantle League as Brattleboro picked up an 11-10 win over the Warriors. What that did was, last Thursday, is that opened up the door. It sure did. Opened up the door for Frontier to get back into first place. That's right. After Brattleboro came and upset Frontier, they came out and they upset the team from Shelburne and Buckland. And with that said, the 11-10 victory for Brattleboro gave Frontier a chance to get back in first place in Mickey Mantle. The Hilltown Hardwood Floor West County Warriors ended up losing a tough one. But here's the thing. They left 11 runners on base. 11 stranded runners. Think about it. You lost by 1, but you left 11. Easy opportunity for them to pick up a victory, and it came up short. Cole Johnson, Tyler Dubriel, Roscoe Palmer each had a couple of hits for the Warriors. Sean Davenport, Ruben Bassett, also Cullen Brown, Matt Pullen, and Casey Christie all contributed hits in the loss. Well, we want to let you know that if you're a volleyball fan, the Pioneer Valley Juniors are having a clinic for volleyball, and that will be held on August 17th. That's right, August 17th, you could be able to go for the clinic from 5:30 to 7:30. The cost is $10 for the girls from any school, and you're welcome to attend. And that will be held at Frontier Regional. So make sure that you get yourself down there early, maybe 5 o'clock. Get yourself all signed in. Make sure you bring your mask as well. You want to be able to fill out the paperwork. Get there early enough. They're going to run that 2-hour clinic. That'll be held on the 17th, which is next Monday, 5:30 to 7:30 at Frontier Regional. All right. Well, as we talked about the Greenfield Seniors in baseball, picking up that victory over West Side, well, now they had to take on East Long Meadow, and they got beat by East Long Meadow. Final score was 2-0 in that winner's bracket. Very close game, but unfortunately, the hitting wasn't there, and that's exactly why they weren't able to pick up that victory, because no runs were able to cross the plate in that 2-0 loss. I will tell you, though, the 2 seed now has to go to an elimination game, and their next opponent will be Northampton, and we'll talk about that in just a few minutes. Also, we want to let you know that the Greenfield Juniors, after getting beat in their first game, well, they had a chance to bounce back, and they did. In the second game of their double elimination tournament, they knocked off Belchertown. Final score was 12-3. By beating Belchertown Orange, they end up advancing to the next round. Looks like Gavin Rubio ended up leading the charge with a couple of hits, including a bases clearing double. That was in the first inning to help Greenfield pave the way. David Carey was 2 for 3, also had a run and an RBI. MJ Pollen, he was perfect for the night, 3 for 3, also 3 runs scored. Also in there was Jake Whitney, he had a hit. Nick Brusciano with a hit, and Brody Baird also had a hit for Greenfield. So they advance in the juniors. Nice job by them. Now, with that win, they are going to be taking on East Hampton, and we'll talk about that game in just a couple of minutes. Well, the Mickey Mantle team from Frontier, I told you that they have a chance to be able to take over first place, and they did. They picked up the victory, and they ended up beating Hatfield. Final score was 12-2. With that, they moved into first place. Tyler Baranowski had a single. Jake Dodge also had a hit with 3 RBIs. Also, Max Edwards with a hit. Tynan Craig ended up with a hit. Kyle Barnes with a hit. And Ben Martino also contributed for Frontier. So a nice job by them as they moved into first place in the Mickey Mantle. Speaking of Sandy Koufax, Greenfield's Sandy Koufax team has been undefeated this year. And they continued that with a nice victory, and they beat Brattleboro. Final score was 8-7. With that said, with that win, Jackson Campbell ended up getting the win on the mound. He tossed 2 2/3 innings in relief as Greenfield improved to 12-0 as of their game last Friday. Devin Doobie also had a chance to be able to help the cause, and believe it or not, he ended up being the guy to help give Greenfield the victory over Brattleboro. Looks like Jake Petrin struck out 9 batters over 4 1/3 innings. Solid performance by him. Hugh Syhowski ended up 2 for 2 with 3 RBIs. And check this out, 2 intentional walks because he's such a great and really powerful hitter. They intentionally walked him, which I got to be honest with you, in youth baseball, pitch to the kids. Come on. Well, Brattleboro was trying to see if they could squeak out that victory to try to take away the undefeated season from Greenfield, but they couldn't get it done. But good old Hugh, 2 intentional walks on the day. Makes you wonder as a coach, why would another coach do that? These kids need to learn how to be able to pitch around good hitters. Well, I can tell you that Devin Doobie ended up with a hit and an RBI. Michael Pierce had a double with 2 runs scored. Jake Petrin had a hit. Jackson Campbell ended up with a hit, and they picked up that victory. Also, on Thursday, this same Sandy Koufax team ended up beating Amherst. Final score was 10-0. Syhowski and Ethan Quinn combined for 9 strikeouts on the 2-hit shutout. Jackson Petrin ended up going 2 for 3 with 2 RBIs, 2 hits and an RBI for him. A solid day for Michael Pierce. Also, Devin Doobie, Jake Petrin had 2 hits apiece. Syhowski ended up smacking a 2-run single. Quinn with a 2-run double. Jackson Campbell with a hit. He also scored 3 runs. Bryce Avery, Jake Brook also had a chance to contribute in this one as well. And also the Frontier Koufax team picked up a win over Northampton. Final score was 17-3. So an easy win for them. Tell ya, this Frontier Koufax team, really it's just them and Greenfield and Amherst. That's about it. It's a very thin league, but Greenfield has proven to be dominant as they are undefeated on the year. Well, behind a couple of hits by Davey Mazur, also by Gabe Salaki, and by Sam Whitney, Frontier scored that 17-3 win. Also, Tyler Cousin ended up with 2 hits. Owen Babb and Owen Hart each had a hit and an RBI to be able to help the cause. Well, I wanted to bring up something that I don't normally bring up. And the thing is we're going to try to set up a Zoom interview with this guy over the next few weeks. His name is Jalen Worley, and he lives in Pennsylvania, but he has family that's right here in the area that have been keeping everybody updated on what he has been able to do. He's the number 23 best player in high school basketball in the country. He has played for a team that won the state championship. He had a chance to be able to play in the big tournaments for the best athletes in the country. He had a chance to be able to go to many different colleges to play college basketball. And I'll tell you what, when you're ranked number 23 in the country, you can pretty much go anywhere. He had a chance to be able to play for some pretty prestigious teams. But the one thing that he decided to do was to go to a team that is really up and coming. They've been a very good basketball program, but they have picked up the top player in the country, and now they have Worley in there too. And by doing that, the Florida State Seminoles have the #1 recruiting class in college basketball. When you think of teams like Kentucky and Gonzaga and Oregon and all these big schools that are really, really good in basketball, and you say to yourself, Florida State. Well, Florida State has really grown as a basketball program, and they have the #1 recruiting class in the country. And this kid is legit. Scotty Barnes is that talented player that they picked up as the top player in the country, and now they have Jalen Worley. And I am working on putting together a Zoom interview with him to be able to talk about his upcoming college career. We'll talk about what he was able to do and how hard he had to work to get to be the number 23 player in the country. He's a guard, he's quick, he can shoot, he's got the whole package, and now he is going to be part of the Florida State Seminoles college basketball team. Well, the Greenfield Juniors had a chance to advance in the Western Mass Summer Baseball League in the playoffs when they picked up that win over Belchertown, but unfortunately, they were eliminated by East Hampton 6-3. Greenfield ended up finishing their season. East Hampton will go on. It was a tough way to end the season, but if you talk to Coach, he'll tell you, we ended up facing a really good hitting team, and we just couldn't get enough done. We only let up 6 runs, but it wasn't enough as they got beat 6-3. And the sad thing is Greenfield jumped out on top with a 2-0 lead and let it slip away. So East Hampton will advance. Greenfield season is over. MJ Pollen, he has been hot. He continued his hot play, ended up going 3 for 3. Also, he had a couple of RBIs. David Carey, Mike Bassett, Jake Whitney, Brody Baird, and Alex Kaczynski all had a hit for Greenfield in the loss as the juniors finished their summer season. Great job, guys. Well, it turned out to be a huge game for the Greenfield Seniors as they took on Northampton. Very powerful game that was played earlier this week on Monday night over at Vets Field. Final score was 6-5. Greenfield picks up the win. So here's the deal. They're going to take on East Hampton. If they beat the East Hampton Seniors, they will be able to play for a championship. So this could turn out to be an opportunity for this team to be able to play for a championship during the weekend. But they have to honestly pick up the 2 victories if they want to be able to achieve that. Last year, they won the American Legion Championship, and this year, under the new Western Mass Baseball League, because of Legion being canceled and being the number 2 seed, they do have a chance to repeat with a bunch of these teams that all came to be able to form this summer league. So with the win, they end up being able to take on East Hampton, and they will be in that game. Jacob Quinn had a really big hit that gave them the win in the bottom of the 8th inning. That's right, they went extras, and in the bottom of the 8th inning, they picked up the 6-5 victory over Northampton. Brian Bauman ended up walking 3 times and scored a run. He was a big help for them. You know, think about it. If you end up walking 3 times in a game, you're on base 3 times. You're helping the cause. Also, we have Owen Phelps, who ended up scoring a couple of times, and he got walked a couple of times. Really, what hurt Northampton in this one is walks. 9 walks on the day. That's too many. You can't give 9 base runners an opportunity to score in a playoff game and expect to win. But Greenfield still pulled off that victory over Northampton on Monday. Well, the West County Warriors continue their play in Mickey Mantle. They had a 2-1 win over Hatfield. With that win, they stayed just 1 game behind Frontier. Tyler Dubriel, Liam O'Donnell, they were helps in this one, as well as Roscoe Palmer. So congratulations to the Warriors up there in Buckland with their win over Hatfield in their win in Mickey Mantle. Once again, they're only really just 1 game behind Frontier. Well, in Sandy Koufax, it ended up being Brattleboro taking on Frontier, and Brattleboro picked up the victory. They ended up winning 10-7. With that win, it was a nice win for Brattleboro, who has been able to play everybody tough. You know, they started off really slow, and all of a sudden, Brattleboro started to improve their play in Sandy Koufax, and they did pick up the win over Frontier. Well, as you know, we have a lot of uncertainty that's going on right now on what is going to happen for fall sports here in the area. You know, when we do our Franklin County Varsity Sports Report, we take it very serious on being able to get out and share these great stories of these great athletes. And this summer has been a very lean summer for sports here in Western Massachusetts. Luckily, and I say this with a lot of sincerity, luckily we were able to give these kids a chance to play some summer baseball. You know, if you look at the beginning of the year where Greenfield Minor League Baseball couldn't play, Greenfield Girls Softball couldn't play, New Gilbo couldn't play, all these kids all were expecting to play some baseball this year, and it all got put to the wayside. Well, now we're getting ready for fall sports. Will there be soccer? Will there be volleyball? Will there be cross country? Will there be football? Will there be field hockey? Will there be golf? These are the big questions that everybody wants to know. And the MIAA will be making that decision in the next couple of weeks. Well, that's going to wrap things up for the Franklin County Varsity Sports Report. I'm Bobby C. Want to say thank you to Lisa Alber of Alber Hearing Services, 33 Riddell Street in Greenfield. Also to our wonderful friends over at Denny's Pantry, Burniston Road in Greenfield, and by the friends at the Four Leaf Clover Restaurant, Routes 5 and 10 in Burniston. Make sure you support them. They need your business. And for my producer, Philippe Simone, thank you so much for making it happen. Have yourself a wonderful night, everyone. Enjoy your day. And yes, we're here in downtown Greenfield, right outside our GCTV studios. Have a great one, everyone.
Thanks for watching the Franklin County Varsity Sports Report on GCTV. Catch a game and be sure to join us next time for more sports and fun.